Welcome to the Alternative Dog Moms Podcast. I'm Kimberly Gauthier, creator of Keep the Tail Wagging. I've been blogging about raw feeding, pet wellness, and life as a crazy dog mom for more than 10 years. I've seen massive improvements in my dog's health since I began raising my dogs naturally, and I'm passionate about sharing my experience to help other pet parents.
I'm Erin Scott from the Believe in Dog podcast. For more than 10 years, I've been researching and learning everything I can about healing cancer, allergies, autoimmune, and mystery illnesses in both my dogs and myself. And I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned in case it could help you too. As the Alternative Dog Moms, Kimberly and I are bringing you all the latest dog health news that we're following and the brilliant people we're meeting along the way. Now let's get started. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Erin. So once again, it's just us. And, how are things going? You're back home. Have you settled in yet?
Yeah, trying to get back in the groove. Yeah. Tim fixed our dryer finally. So I'm very proud of him. We had a big tree limb come down in our yard in a storm last night, but very fortunately it landed in the perfect place where it did not hit our shed nor our house.
That's perfect.
So, and neither me nor the dogs heard it.
Even better.
Yeah. I was totally shocked. I came home from work. There was no limb in the yard. And at dinner time, I went to let them out and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, none of the dogs even noticed. And then I had to laugh because I had this Zoom meeting today, and somebody who has a very reactive dog in our neighborhood happened to walk by our house, and all hell broke loose. And I'm kind of like, well, this is me.
Welcome to my world.
So yeah, we're getting back in the groove. Sometimes there's this existential dread when you get back from vacation of
Yes.
oh God, now I have to go do all the things. And 10 days ago I was having a luau in Hawaii. But, no, it's actually, it feels good. I do feel refreshed. I think it was a little overwhelming that first week back, but now I'm oh, I feel good. I'm in the groove. I'm grateful to be doing my things again.
Oh, that's good. Welcome stateside.
Yeah.
This weekend we had the Arlington Street Fair, and this is our hottest. Well, I wouldn't say this is our first heat wave. This year it's our second heat wave. And by heat wave, I mean upper 80s. That's a big deal here. And so we have the AC going. And when it's upper 80s, I'm not a morning person. And I wake up early, but it takes me an hour and a half to actually, because I just sort of lay there cuddling with the dog, and I'll turn on the TV and watch whatever's on or look at my phone. But I'm not a morning person. But I've have to get up super early in the morning to walk the dogs. And it's actually kind of nice because then I have my whole day.
Yeah.
It's cool and it's beautiful and sunny. There's other people who are out and everyone just says good morning. And so I've gotten a lot of practice of smiling and saying good morning instead of just grumbling at people what do you want? But we had the Arlington Street Fair, and every year it's a common complaint of the people who bring their dogs to the Arlington Street Fair and don't understand how hot the pavement is.
Yeah.
And so last year, I finally got to a point where I was so fed up that I just started going up to people and pointing out that their dog was marching. And I was like, your dog is doing that because the pavement is so hot on their feet. And then when they would move their dog to the shade, I would be like, yeah, that's no different. I was like, it's hot everywhere. I was like, the temperature difference is negligible. You should take your dog home. It's not safe here. And I would stand there until they're like, okay. And it was a few of us doing this. It was just our moment to just be, just to get it off our chest because we had been watching these dogs all day long, especially the huskies with the thick coats and double coats. And, it's just they should not be out here. This year, there was that, but then there is also the people who brought their brand new puppies who were not fully vaccinated to the festival. Let them walk around. Even though, in my experience, I've always had veterinarians tell me, leave your puppy at home until they're fully vaccinated. You don't take them anywhere. You don't let them stand on ground that you don't know. If I interviewed a rescue actually in New York, and in the area that it was at the time, parvo was really high. And they had, because I was like, well, they tell you to socialize your puppy. How are you supposed to socialize your puppy when you are at home? And they were telling me, you invite your friends and family over, if they don't have a dog because you don't want them tracking. But even then, you keep them outside. But the best thing is to put them in a stroller and then walk them around, because that was when I learned that socializing doesn't mean playing with other dogs, doesn't necessarily mean being handled by other people that aren't in the home. It's just being exposed to just different sounds and blah, blah, blah. Well, I saw a lot of people there with puppies, which, I understand. You get excited. You're like, oh, let's take the puppy. But it's crazy hot. And we had pools with ice and stuff to cool dogs down. And so people are putting their puppies in these communal pools and letting them drink out of these communal pools and doing puppy greetings, on grass. And it was just like, I just sat there. I reached a point where I know I had a puss on my face because I was just glaring at people as they walked by. Not a great look for our rescue. And one of the directors of the rescue actually went to someone and said, "Hey, is that puppy fully? How old is that puppy?" And I don't remember how old it was. And she's like, "So has it had vaccines yet?" And they were like, "Well, yeah." And I don't think they didn't understand where she was going with it. So they were answering the question as if she was curious. And she was like, "So basically it's not fully vaccinated, right?" And they were like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, well, I just want to warn you," and gave her the spiel about how dangerous this was. And she's like, "So you don't want to put the puppy down on the pavement, and you don't want to let them drink out of this communal thing. You don't want them in this water because there's a lot that can go wrong." And as she's talking about it, they just put the puppy down on the pavement as they're looking at her. And she goes, "Or you can just put the puppy on the pavement and do whatever you want to do." Okay. Enjoy the fair. And she just walked away. And I thought she handled it very well, because it was so mind-numbing. But the worst part was that we found out a little bit later that another person in our group had that exact same conversation with them like an hour before.
Wow.
And it's just like, but it was disappointing and sad. And I even saw like a dog in a car and they had the windows cracked. And I'm like, too hot, too hot. They parked the car in the shade, but it's like, leave your dog at home. And even though the people who organize the fair put out tons of stuff on social media, it is going to be way too hot for dogs, leave your dogs at home. People aren't necessarily looking on social media to see what they're saying about the Arlington treat, and they just don't think about it. And since their dog is okay or seems okay, they don't really. Oh, it was just it was agonizing. But I was happy to see the number of passive aggressive people who were making comments of, "You see my dog? My dog is wearing booties. You know why? Because the pavement is too hot. Oh, I love dogs, but do you see me with the dog?" I mean, like strangers were like walking around. "You know where my dogs are? They're at home in the AC because it's too hot out there for their dogs." So I think eventually people started getting the hint. But, it's one of my pet peeves and it drives me crazy.
I will say that when we were in Honolulu, I saw more dogs wearing booties than I ever have in my life. And this was even like, in the mornings and in the evenings when it wasn't
Mhm.
like the full heat of the day, but I was like really impressed that it was
Yeah.
so common to see that. And about the puppies, I will say I did a puppy episode on Believe in Dog last year with Kathy Callahan, and I thought she gave some really good guidelines of like how to balance the vaccination. And one of the things I remember her saying was going places and bringing like a beach blanket or,
Mhm.
like a picnic towel, and keeping your puppy with you on the towel so they're not on the grass, and
Mhm.
allowing them, like for instance, your kid's baseball game or something, and it allows them
Yeah.
to get like the sights and the sounds and the smells, but that way they're protected. Or, staying at like a distance in like
Mhm.
the bed of your truck, like in a parking lot, and you just kind of sit with them in the bed. I thought that she gave some really good ideas.
Yeah.
So I'll put a link in the show notes if anybody
Yeah.
wants to
That
check that
is
one out.
that is good. But yeah, that otherwise it was a pretty good weekend. Lots of, allergies because I was mowing the lawn and our grass is dead. So I was just basically mowing little bits of hay that kept blowing into my face and I was mowing and it was miserable. And the dogs just kind of chilled in the house and enjoyed life. Except for right now, it's the evening here. Well, it's evening where you are too. So it's cooling down. So I put the dogs out in the yard just because they're fine for short breaks. And
Do you guys get humidity there, or is that like a mid-Atlantic thing?
we do, but it's nothing compared to you guys. I was actually going to post on Facebook today how miserable I was because it was 82 degrees and 45% humidity. And I was just like, no.
That's like my perfect day.
Yes, exactly. I was just like, no. I was like, every day. Most of my friends would comment back. And it's like, I'm gonna keep this to myself. I mean, it's not miserable. It's just hot. And I call it, it's I don't give a damn weather where it's just so warm that you just don't care about I don't care about being mad. I don't care about anything. I just want to sit here and just relax. And so it's fine.
Yeah, it's the rest of the week here. It's supposed to be in like the mid 90s and
Oh my
super
God.
humid with chance of rain every day. And
I couldn't
as they
imagine.
say, it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
Yes. I know. This I couldn't imagine. So we
Yeah.
don't have that. And we have like a nice breeze going around and stuff. So I was outside actually laying in the grass earlier playing with Buffy and Bella. And so I mean it's really nice. It really is. So
I felt
but
like Hawaii had some I don't care weather because like every picture of me, my hair is like all up off of my neck and I have like no makeup and I've like sweated everything off and I'm like glistening and I'm just like, okay, I'll smile. There's a lot of restaurants that'll like hire photographers to come around and like take photos of everybody sitting at your table, like while you're waiting for your food. Like, and then they charge you like $40 for it.
Oh
We're
wow.
like, would you like this nice memento of, your time, on vacation here? And so my mom was getting some of these photos for all of us, like in every single one of them. I'm just like, okay.
I mean, that's a pretty clever idea. Yeah. So I posted something this week about balance, and I think the conversations died down, and for the most part, people were receptive to it. It wasn't like a lecture or anything. I was curious about when it comes to homemade diets, what not based on studies, but just like in general, what nutrients are hard to to basically make sure you're at the right amounts. And I just basically went through based on my experience, based on things I've heard from other people, and just came up with a brief list of items. Like choline is the big one for me because I never knew what it was. I never knew it existed. And what I found interesting when I was going through this is it's never as easy as Googling, well, what foods are rich in choline? Because you're not necessarily going to get an adequate enough answer because one, when you add that food to the recipe, it throws off all the other nutrients. So you still have to adjust and balance. And two, a lot of the lists out there that'll tell you, well, these foods right here are really high in manganese, for example. The amount of manganese is negligible compared to the other nutrients the food brings to the table. So you would end up having to add, a truckload. I mean, I'm exaggerating of a food in order to meet that manganese requirement. And in the meantime, you've ruined the entire recipe. It's just not feasible. So I went through and I did this. But what I found interesting were one person said, it's really easy, just feed raw food. And I was just sort of like, but that can mean different things to different people. It's not a matter of just, when you tell someone who is new to raw feeding, they don't know what that means, just feed raw food. And the other person was very passionate about it. And what's interesting is that she gave a lot of the arguments that I used to give when people brought up balance. Things like wild dogs don't balance their diet. No one really knows what a dog needs nutrition wise. I don't balance my own diet. I don't, or I balance over time and I alternate protein, so I'm good. And I used to believe all of those things, but we do know what dogs need. There's been a gazillion studies about what dogs need. I don't think that every dog necessarily is covered by those studies because every dog is unique. And so you need to adjust based on what your individual dogs need. And that can be very hard to determine. But my thought is that if I'm close enough, I'm good. Two, you can't alternate a bad diet. So if you're not even close to meeting your dog's nutritional needs, no amount of, alternating proteins is really going to fix that. And, the idea that wild dogs don't balance their diet our dogs aren't wild. They're domesticated and they have completely different exposures and life experiences to wild dogs. I mean, the other thing is wild dogs also spend all day hunting and exercising, whereas our dogs are on the sofa and they could use a little more exercise. But I think it's interesting that, I've always looked at the raw feeding community as going through phases, but never really repeating phases. But I feel like we're all still in the same space. As far as the community as a whole, we're all still arguing about vegetables. We're arguing about balance. We're arguing about, all these different things. It's just depending upon where you are in your journey is what your focus and what your argument is about. So
Oh,
I just
that's
thought
a good
it was
point.
interesting. It is. I mean, I know I'm like, it is a good point. Let me pat myself on the back. But I do, yeah. I thought it was a really interesting thing that I learned where it's like, because this person, she said, I agreed 100% with everything that she said because I felt that way too. It's just that after, and I shouldn't say I agree with it. I just understand where she's coming from. But after taking courses and speaking to, all these people that we speak to over the past few years, and especially, like Dr. Recker wow, that chat I've heard from so many people that is their favorite episode.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and she just, the way she broke it down, it made sense to me. And even before then, I was still taking steps to make sure I was meeting my dog's nutritional needs. And what's interesting is that, like, before we signed on here, I made a week's worth of food for the dogs. And it took 20 minutes to do. I filmed it, so I'm going to share it. I'll reduce it down to like 90 seconds and share it. But, and then with cleanup, it probably took about, maybe 35, 40 minutes. And it's not hard. You just have to know what to put in. Once you know what to put in, then it's really quite easy. And it's not, what's the word, overly expensive if you have really good sources. And that's, to me, is the problem that a lot of people come up against, is that not everyone has really good, affordable sources.
Well, when I saw your email about this, my eye caught, well, number one, it always catches on manganese because I think back to my old gal Kahlua that was my CCL girl. And that was back when primarily she was fed kibble up until about the last year or two of her life. So both of her CCL tears happened way before we started feeding her raw. And I always think about manganese, and that was something that really caught my eye when I started learning about raw and learning about the problems with kibble and learning about nutrient deficiencies and thinking about her. So that's one that always stands out to me. But before we left for vacation, I noticed Nino has had a really dry nose, like a kind of a cracked, dry nose. And I have never noticed this in his entire life that he has been with us. And he also seems to shed, he just seems to be shedding excessively, especially compared to Daisy. And my eye caught on zinc.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, huh. So it's something that I'm going to have to discuss with my vet because part of me is like, oh, should I just throw some oysters in his food? But like you said, I was thinking of Dr. Recker. And so Hopefully that can be one of my summer projects, is I really want to dive into Animal Diet Formulator and see if I can come up with what his diet might be missing, because he has been on a gently cooked diet. And it might sound weird to say, like, I don't necessarily, like, love the ingredients of it
Hmm.
because it uses synthetics,
Yeah.
but his digestion has been so good on it compared to other things that then I get nervous. And I do rotate, like, different proteins. Like, at all times, I'm rotating between, like, 3 different protein blends.
Hmm.
But yeah, now I'm like super obsessed with this fact that I really need to find out if he has a zinc deficiency that's causing this. Because I can
Yeah.
treat it topically with some stuff, and I am. But,
Yeah.
it's like me, it's like I want to understand the root
Yeah.
cause. I want to understand what's happening and not just treat the symptom. So
Yeah.
your email was very helpful to me this week.
That makes sense. I mean, because I stock up on oysters. I get them from Walmart. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we have one, two, three Walmarts in our town, and they're not all in our town. Like, it's basically there's actually two in Marysville, one on the west side of the freeway and one on the east side of the freeway. And then there's one that's on the border of between Marysville and Arlington. And so when I'm low on oysters, I go to each one. The sucky part is that the oysters are on a high shelf, and I'm 5'3". So I have to go and find someone to bring a ladder over to get the oysters down. And even though I tell them, they're like, "How many do you want?" It's like, "I want all of them." Um, they'll bring them down, and then they're like, and I'm like, and I have to repeat that. It's like, "No, I want all of them, every single one." And some people, I'm curious to know what they think I'm doing. Some people will just ask, like, "Do you really like oysters?" And I was like, "No, I make dog food." And they're like, "Oh, why do you ask?" And I'll just give them a brief, like, "Oh, it's a good source of zinc and manganese." And so I add it to their diet. And they're like, "Oh, that's interesting." And like one person even asked, "Can I add this to my dog's diet?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you want to. I mean, it can't hurt, I don't think." I've learned not to, like, my favorite source is Walmart. They usually have two brands. It's like the Geisha brand and Pacific Pearl. And for me, Geisha is slightly less expensive than Pacific Pearl, but they're six of one, half a dozen of the other, to be honest. And those two are the best brands that I've ever found because they're boiled oysters. They don't have any weird look to them. Whereas I've bought other oysters where that you open it up and everything looks a little yellow inside, and it's just like that doesn't seem right. And um, and and it's probably just fine, but I'm always nervous about anything that because it doesn't is not from America, and it's like after the whole chicken jerky thing, I'm just nervous about food that comes from other countries because just like, well, is this okay? But I love the geisha and the Pacific Pearl. So I just basically I have a budget of $65, 65 to $75, and I go and I do this probably 2 or 3 times a year. I
Do you
go
get like cases of them or just like individual
You have
cans?
to get individual cans. I once tried to just order them online, thinking it would come in a case. And one, it's more expensive.
Mhm.
It's really hard to find the same price point online, like if going to Amazon or something like that. It's just really weird. But I did order it from Walmart, and I did order it to go pick it up. The problem this actually wasn't the oysters. I did it with sardines. And I wanted sardines and water, no salt added, but they sold me a ton of sardines and soy oil, and that wasn't
Mm.
what I wanted. And I took them back, and each one was treated as a separate um, purchase. And I had basically multiple cases of sardines that I purchased, and it took forever for them to go through and ring. Oh, it was
Oh my
miserable.
god.
So after that experience, I've been nervous about ordering oysters off of, but I don't think it would be a problem because, I mean, unless they gave me smoked oysters, which I know they have them, but it's pretty clear what I'm trying to order is not like Pacific Pearl and the Geisha brand don't have a smoked oyster product at the Walmarts I go to. So it's not like a mistake like that can happen again. It'd probably be a lot easier. And I wish they gave you like a discount, like, because I've buy so many. I wish
Yeah,
there's
for
like
bulk.
so
Yeah.
many. That would be so nice, but no, there's none of that. I tried doing like fresh oysters, but those are expensive. And
Yeah.
I just feel weird about feeding them raw because there is a thing here called red tide where they start warning everyone don't get oysters and clams and stuff this time because what is it, like the red coral, or not coral but
Algae.
algae, yeah, is too high. And so I'm always worried about, even though if it's in the store it's going to be fine, I'm still a little worried about it. And it's just really expensive, even at Costco, like a big jar of them. So I would bake them first, but that just seems kind of counterintuitive. So canned oysters it is. Makes me feel fine. And canned oysters are in the animal diet formulator software. So I know that I'm getting what I need as far as in my dogs, and I just realized I made dog food and I totally forgot to put the oysters in. But that's okay because I put extra of the base mix in. So I just made a batch of food that's not balanced, but I'm okay with that. It's just one batch.
I mean, sometimes you have those days where you forget to thaw something, you run out and can't get to the store, and it's like,
Yep.
all right, we're just gonna throw something together here.
I mean, I can always add the oysters to everybody's dish when I'm feeding them too, so it's not that big of a deal. But golly, it's frustrating. So anything new and exciting?
Well, I did read an interesting study about the importance of chewing for dogs' health, and not just their physical health, but even their like emotional health. That
Mhm.
it's something that is very soothing. It like releases those feel good chemicals to them. And like my guy Nino, he has his ball. He's always chewing on his ball. It was even a joke with the pet sitter that Nino and his ball, a love story for the ages, because he's always like, "Where's my ball? Where's my ball?" And he'll just like kind of hold it in his mouth. And of course, she likes the antlers, and
Mhm.
like she'll go, and she's like so into it, and it's like you can feel her head get hot. She's just like chewing on it so long. And I was just really thinking that how much our dogs just enjoy chewing. And so I was curious if you see that in your dogs.
I do, and it's funny that you bring this up because I've always known that the act of chewing releases endorphins. It's relaxing and calming to them. I never thought of it with regard to toys. I always thought of it with regard to, natural chews, raw meaty bones, recreational bones. But yeah, she will walk around with a ball in her mouth and just sit. And it's so funny because she'll come up to me and she'll like rub her face in my face with the ball in her mouth. Sometimes we'll be out and about walking around the yard, and all of a sudden she'll come running back to me with the ball, which I appreciate because it drives me crazy when she loses a ball in the yard. Buffy also, she loves to walk around with balls. She also has a lot of chew toys. And so right now on my bed, there's probably 4 chew toys because she'll just go and get them and jump on the bed, drop it, and go and get another one and go back and forth between chew toys. Zoe, she loves her chew toys. I'll give her one and she'll just lay there. But Zoe likes to be by herself. She doesn't like to be around other people when she's doing it. She wants to be by herself. Apollo will sometimes get a chew toy, but he prefers just natural chews. And it's funny because, I get the Real Dog Box subscription. There's something for everyone. And the other day I broke out some chews and I have the beef tracheas, which Apollo does really well on, but they're huge.
Yeah.
And so they're too big for Zoe, too big for Bella. Surprisingly, Buffy is right there chewing hers. And I mean, it's crazy seeing this little puppy go to town on a trachea, whereas the other two, prefer smaller chews. But yeah, because Zoe, she was chewing on I gave her I think like a cow's ear, and she was chewing on it forever. And I finally just went and took it away from her because it was kind of looking gross. And it took a while for me to convince her to give it to me. But because she was just like, no, I'm not done. And it's like, yeah, it's really gross. You're done. And I had to leave and I didn't feel comfortable leaving her with this chew. But yeah, it's kind of fun. And one of the worries that I had was when Zoe had 2 of her teeth pulled. her two upper, I don't know if they're not called canines, maybe molars. I don't remember. But when she had those are important chew teeth.
Yeah.
And with those gone, I was really worried if she would even be able to enjoy a chew. But she does just
Good.
fine. She adapted and adjusted, and she does just fine. It takes her longer. But again, she'll just go into someplace by herself and she just lays down and she just chews forever. And so, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
And then I saw something else that Rodney was sharing about a study that has officially debunked the myth that kibble helps keep your dog's teeth clean. And that a new peer-reviewed study found that ultra-processed diets like dry kibble have a significantly higher risk of developing dental problems, whereas dogs fed a minimally processed diet had a much lower risk. And I was just wanted to be like, mic drop.
I mean, I think it's so hilarious because I remember someone telling me that you need to feed kibble. It needs to be at least part of the diet for the teeth cleaning. And I was at a pet store and someone else walking by said, yeah, because I eat corn chips to clean my teeth. It works really well. And that was the first time where I was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. I mean, this is before I started feeding raw. And I mean, when I was new to having dogs, where it was, and I had cats, but I had been feeding my cats a kibble diet and they had crap teeth. And they never needed a dental because I would just go in and click the plaque off their teeth. But yeah, they had crap teeth and I never made the connection. And it gives me a little more empathy towards people who don't feed raw, who don't understand. I mean, you really do just I mean, the pet industry and the veterinarian community have done a really good job supporting each other in convincing us that we should be feeding our dogs a processed diet. And it's just not something that many people question until they have a reason to question it. I mean, I'm always envious of the people who are like, yeah, it just never made sense to me, so I didn't do it. And it's like, good for you for thinking on your own. I'm a robot, or I'm a sheep. I just went along until I veered off the path and was just like, oh no. So,
Well, I mean, I can remember my whole life, like, you'd see these, like, commercials for, like, pedigree or, something, and it's just
mhm.
like, "Oh, that's just what you feed dogs." And the first time somebody talked to me about raw feeding, I was all of a sudden like, oh my god, that makes so much more sense."
Yes. Okay, so I have a question for you. I follow a lot of like dog creators because I just love dogs. And have you ever followed or seen a video of from a dog creator and seen their food they feed in the background? And you're just like, oh, bummer.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't know why I assume that everyone I guess I just figure that, maybe like farmer's dog or I mean, I know people have issues with farmer's dog, but I think farmer's dog is better than, pedigree in my humble opinion. So I would just figure that a lot of them would have these deals with farmer's dog and companies like that. And so
Mhm.
they would just feed that food. And so, yeah, today I won't name the brand, but I was watching a video and it's like one of my favorite creators. His dogs are so freaking cute. They crack me up. Um, I think some of the things he allows them to do is wrong, but for entertainment purposes, it cracks me up. Um, but happened to see this big old bag of, fill in the blank kibble brand that no one likes. And I was just like, oh, bummer. But I mean, maybe that's just what works for his dog. I don't know. I'm making excuses. But about that, the creator has huskies. And there are plenty of creators out there of huskies, so I'm not worried about outing anyone. But what's funny is that he, takes the huskies places, and huskies are super vocal, and that's one of the reasons why I love to follow husky pages because I think it's so hilarious when the huskies talk back. And I asked a question in a group was like, what's the most annoying things you see at events, with regard to like dogs? And one person she just had a list of things. And one of them was people who allow their vocal dog to just bark and stuff. And she put in parentheses, mainly huskies. And I burst out laughing because I was like, I blame social media because they make it seem so cute when their dog talking back. And so people just assume that everyone loves it. Because I mean, I do. I love it. But, if I'm in a restaurant that, a dog friendly spot and a husky is just howling and barking, I don't really after a while, it's just like, okay, this isn't cute anymore. Can you
Yeah.
please stop?
I always get disappointed when it's dog trainers, and all of the people who first educated me about raw feeding are all pretty much dog trainers in some
Mhm.
manner. They might not do it, like, as their job, but they have been
Mhm.
trained, to do that, or they are people who do that as their job. And so I just always assume that dog trainers are on the raw feeding train
Yeah.
or the fresh feeding train. And so whenever I meet a dog trainer, especially if it's somebody I'm really like, really agreeing with and really like their approach, and then like you see them feeding kibble, it's like, oh, knife to the heart, man. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, it is,
And dogs sport people too. I remember one time for a podcast, Believe in Dog podcast, I went out and like was observing these people who are like really into this one dog sport. And again, I like started asking them about like, oh, what do you feed them? And all that. And like I was like shocked that like they were all feeding kibble because these were like really high performing dogs.
Mhm.
And I was just kind of like, oh, like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's what's so funny is that it's like I have mixed feelings about kibble. On one hand, I don't think it's all bad. I see so many people who feed kibble and their dogs live as long, if not longer, than my dogs. But I also think it's because their dogs are crazy active. Their dogs are
Yeah.
outside. I mean, so they're like hitting all the
The
things. And
other
it's
markers, yeah.
exactly, because I think that if I were to only feed raw, but I didn't walk my dogs or play with them outside, I didn't, engage with them and train with them and just expose them to, the microbes in the soil and work on their gut health. If I didn't keep like or attempt to keep a stress-free environment for them, I think that they would have more health issues. I think my dogs are as healthy as they are is because I'm balancing so many different things. And so when I see my friends who feed kibble, like many of them, they do add fresh food, but they have like this farm type of lifestyle. So if an egg falls on the floor and cracks it, they're like, hey, come over here and eat that. Or they'll just have, if they have extra eggs, they'll crack them over everyone's bowl. They put, everyone raises their own animals. And so a lot of people are starting to use more of the animal, which kind of sucks for me because I used to get so much free stuff. And it's like kind of dwindling because people
'Cause you've educated too many people.
I know people are starting to realize, like, just for themselves even, like, "Oh, I don't like liver, but, oh, you can freeze dry it and grind it up into a powder, put it in capsules, and there you go. You now have your liver." So, like, several of my friends have started doing that with different organs. And then, yeah, also just giving things like bones. People, instead of a lot of people used to bury the bones, but now they keep them and they make bone broth. And so everyone has a freezer full of bone broth. And a lot of them are doing this mostly for themselves, but their dogs are benefiting too. So it's astounding because of that, it's like I don't hate kibble because I know like if I for some reason I had to go back to feeding kibble, I would be doing all of those things. I'm hoping that it never comes to that because I really like feeding raw. But whenever I meet people who feed kibble and they wanna do better, but they're not prepared to do raw or home cooked, that's basically the direction I send them. And including, are you getting outside with your dogs? Because I think, so many people, I know that I can get outside more with my dogs because I work from home, but so many people don't walk their dogs, and we see this with dogs that are just like I'm seeing dogs that are so overweight.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's like that's not good for their joints. I mean, I gain a little bit weight and my joints are like, "What you doing?" So I can imagine what my dogs are feeling.
You just made me think of something. There's a local farm near me that raises cattle, and so they sell their own ground, beef and all the products,
Mhm.
but they also sell a caveman ground beef blend where they'll mix liver in with the ground beef. And so that
Mhm.
way, like, you're not really tasting the liver because it's only
Yeah.
like 5 or 10% liver with like 90% of the ground beef mixed in. But I've never been able to bring myself to do it.
Oh, I want you to try it. I want you to try it so badly. I'm curious to know how that would be and how that would I actually I haven't had liver in a million years, but I actually like it. The reason why I don't eat it is because liver is one of those things that you can't cook unless the people who you live with like liver too.
Because of the smell.
Because of the smell. So, like, if, for instance, if Johann and I've never done this because usually if Johann's out of town, there's just so many other things that I have going on that it never occurs to me, "Ooh, let's go get some liver." But I love liver and onions. And I keep saying Johann this year, he's been like, "Oh, I'm gonna run down to Arizona and visit his son." And, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get some liver and onions." And for me, it has to be chicken liver because it's smaller. Beef liver is just too hearty for me to eat. And red onions, and I'm, like, so excited to try it out, and I'm curious to know if I'll still like it, like, if I'll make it and be like, "Ugh." But it has to be sometimes if you don't cook it right, the texture just gets to me. Liver can be delicious. Okay, so not about dogs at all. I learned how to use the grill.
Oh,
Because
nice.
I just suddenly realized that whenever we make burgers or anything like that, Johann does it. And I don't know why, but I'll wait until it's a day he's gonna be home and he's not worn out, and I'll ask him to, "Oh, will you do it?" Or he's doing it and ask me if I want a burger. And one day he was working, and I was just like, the night before, I was like, "How do you work the grill?"
Is it charcoal or propane?
Propane,
Okay.
and it's crazy easy.
Yeah.
But yesterday, now that I know how to do it, I'm, like, obsessed. Every day I'm out there grilling something. But yesterday, I think I turned the propane up too high, and you're supposed to light it with a lighter, and the boof of fire that came up, I was terrified that I lost my eyebrows.
Oh my god.
It didn't touch my face, but that's what I was thinking, like, my hair's on fire and my eyebrows are gone. Um, oh, but that's what happened to my eyelashes, I wonder. My eyelashes felt short, and I know it's not what happened to my eyelashes because it really didn't touch my face, but I felt like my eyelashes were shorter today, and I wonder anyway, I seriously doubt that. If it got to my eyes, I think I would really know. But yeah, so now I know, don't turn it way high, just turn it on a little bit so I'm making ribs tonight.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tim is definitely the grill master. But I think I have turned it on before.
It's just like, yeah. So I just decided, I'm gonna give this a try. But otherwise, I guess that's pretty much it in the world.
So we trying to think of our TVing. So we finished season 2 of Tires. Oh my god, I love that show. It's hilarious. And we're now watching The Bear because the
Oh,
new
I've heard
season of
good
The Bear came out. Yeah, so I think we've only watched like 2 episodes so far.
I don't remember the name of the show, but it is on Netflix, and it's a crime family. So a crime family.
Oh, is that the one with Jason Bateman?
No,
Okay.
it's the one I'm so bad with names. No, it's not. I was gonna say, "Oh, it's Bad Blood." No, it's not Bad Blood. It is I'm looking to see. No, it doesn't have any. I don't know what it's I'm so bad with actors' names, and I always have to, like, back into the actor by going to
IMDb.
I have to think of a movie that they were in, and
Yeah.
one of The Faculty. One of the actors was in the movie The Faculty movie, cast. And so, okay, so there's The Faculty, and it was Sean, I guess, Hadasoy, movies and shows, and he's on The Pit right now. Animal Kingdom, that's what it's called.
Oh, okay, that's like okay, that show's been around for a few years.
Yeah, it has. So I started watching that, and it's very, for me, intense because right now I'm kind of, I'm in a I don't wanna really think too much type of space. And I want everything to be either funny or just cute. And so it stopped. It's not funny and it's not cute, but I'm
It has
very
that
curious.
blonde woman in it, right? Like that kind of.
Yes. Yes, I have the cast right here. What is her name? Ellen Barkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think of her, and the only movie I could think that she was in is she was in one of the Oceans movie, and I think it was the 11, 12, Ocean's 13. I think she was in that. And then Scott Speedman was in it, and Scott Speedman he was in the, what is it? Those vampire movies. I guess I could click on his face.
Blade or.
Underworld. He was in the
Oh,
Underworld
okay.
movies. Oh, and that's right, he was in Felicity. And I think he's in Grey's Anatomy right now. He's Meredith's love interest, but I don't watch the current seasons of Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, so I'm just very curious about it because it's like, but I don't know why, but when with crime movies, I always worry about everyone getting caught and I get so nervous. And I
It
have
can
to
give
turn it
you a lot
off.
of anxiety.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, you guys are gonna get in trouble.
Tim says that about the bear. He's like, oh my God, this show gives me so much anxiety.
And that's and then I have to take a break. So it's just like, so I want to get back into that. And I don't know if I've said this yet, but I went and saw The Accountant too.
Oh, okay.
And it's so much fun. It's completely different from the first one. It's more of a buddy movie, but it's on Amazon Prime now. And I keep telling Johan he needs to watch it. I've already watched it again. And Johan's like, he says he's going to watch it tonight, but he always forgets how to bring it up because he doesn't watch TV anymore. Ever since first I got rid of cable and he was annoyed with me for getting rid of cable, but I was just like, we're paying a lot of money for you to watch this car channel and occasionally, like some type of HGTV type crap. And I don't watch it at all. And no matter how many, like I got rid of the movie channels because I was like, well, we're not really watching them. And no matter how many times I tried to bring the price down, we were still paying over $100 a month. And I was just like, we're paying a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure we can watch all of this for free. So I got rid of it and started looking into how to watch it for free. And then when I figured it out, I showed him, here are your channels. This is where you can find it. And so then for probably a year, he was just watching like one or two channels he went back and forth with. And then sometimes he would look into the streaming channels that we have. But I don't know, for the past few months, he just comes home and just sits on his phone and scrolls. And, we chit chat and stuff, but he doesn't watch TV anymore. And he even rearranged the family room so that the TV isn't the focal point. Like the furniture isn't facing the TV. The TV is just in the room.
Oh, wow.
And the furniture is facing each other for people to like look and talk to each other. And and we never have people over, so it doesn't even matter. But so he's forgotten, like, I don't even know if I know how to turn the TV, because like for a while, he didn't even know where the remotes were. So he was like, where are the remotes? And I'm like, they're underneath the TV. And it's like, just there's a shelf and I put it there. And, somewhere that's obvious to me. And he was just like, oh, okay. But it's just, so I'll have to set it up for him.
Well, I kind of flip back and forth between the different streaming services.
Mhm.
And so like I reactivated Hulu so we could watch The Bear, and then I put some of the I put like Apple TV on pause, and then I always forget, then you got to re-sign in to Hulu.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh dear God, I've made a terrible mistake.
I've gotten pretty good at it because when I stayed at my friend's place for a couple of weeks, I signed up on their TVs but I kept it minimal. I was just like, what will I watch? And I did YouTube, Netflix, and Disney Plus. And that pretty much covered everything because I'm actually it's so funny because Disney gets so much flack, but their customer service is spot on. Because I called them up and said, hey, I have Hulu, I had Disney Plus, but now you guys have this package where it's
Yeah.
cheaper to get the package than to have Hulu.
Together, yeah.
And it's like, but I tried to do it, but it won't let me do it because it says, even if I cancel my Hulu, it still won't let me do it. And they're like, oh, we can fix that for you. And they just got it straightened out while I just sat there, and they just
Oh,
were
wow.
everything. Like, are you still there? And I'm like, yep, I'm just working. You just do your thing. And before you knew it, they made me check, and I checked. And so now they said you can access it through the Hulu app, or you can access them both through the Disney Plus. And Disney Plus, it just has a Hulu row where it
Yeah.
has my TV shows. And so I was just like, yay. Hey.
Customer service that actually worked.
I know. It's just like so exciting. Other than that, I'm not really watching anything either. It's too hot to watch TV.
In the air conditioning.
Yes. It's just too much air. Well, the air conditioning, because we have the portable units, so they're loud.
Okay.
They're not that loud, but they're loud. And so you have to turn the TV up higher. And if someone else isn't watching TV, then it's kind of annoying. And so it's just like, so we just don't watch TV. We just hang out.
Yeah, that is a thing. We'll be eating dinner and watching something, and the air conditioning will be on, so, like, we'll have to turn it up louder, and then, like, the next morning, Tim will go to, like, flip the news on, and it's like because it's, like, early, and it's like, you're like, "Oh my god."
Why?
Alright, everybody, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.